Hello guys, David here, founder of Superthread, and welcome to my devlog. In this devlog, I want to talk about the importance of sleep for programmers and how I found it to be very useful. As you know, at Superthread, we are trying to build a lightning fast issue tracker that's actually nice to use. But before Superthread became a company, I did the prototype myself, and there was a prolonged period of time when I was doing quite a lot of coding. Now, when I was doing my coding, I chose to use something called the Pomodoro Technique. And this is basically a way of timing yourself. So what you do is you measure sessions which are 25 minutes long, and then you try and do 10 to 12 sessions a day. Now, the important thing during these sessions is that you are absolutely focused and there are no distractions. And if you are able to do 10 to 12 per day, you're doing really well. Now, as you know, programming is a deep kind of activity. It's conscious basically work. And it turns out that somebody did some research and found out that programming is one of the hardest activities that a human being can do. Now, if it's very hard, you will make sure that you as a human being are in good state when you're actually doing your programming. And as I was doing that, I began to realize very quickly that sleep was very important for me. And I learned some tips, which I'm going to share with you now, which helped me get better sleep and therefore be more productive as a programmer. So the first tip I'd like to share is do not drink coffee before going to bed. Caffeine has a water life of 12 hours, which means that if you have a cup of coffee at 12 noon and then you go to bed at 12 midnight, your body still contains a quarter of that cup of coffee. And not only does it prevent you from falling asleep, but then even when you fall asleep, the actual quality of sleep you get isn't very optimal. So therefore, try and drink coffee only in the morning. The second one is when it comes to alcohol. Do not drink before going to bed. I'm sure you've gotten drunk, came home and then just fell asleep. And you think, well, alcohol made me fall asleep. But it turns out that the actual quality of sleep that you actually get when you're drunk is not very good. Basically, even though you're asleep, the quality of sleep is almost the same as if you're awake. So try and avoid alcohol. Once again, if you're going to have alcohol, try and have it kind of lunchtime rather than dinner time. Another tip is try and stick to a sleeping schedule. So we have something called the circadian rhythm inside of our brains. That means it's a very small part of the brain with very few CPU cycles, if you like. And all it is a timer. It tells our body when to go to bed, when to wake up. And if you kind of mess with that, if you travel, let's say, to a different time zone, it just causes havoc inside of your kind of circadian rhythm. So try and kind of stick to sleeping schedule, not only during Monday to Friday, but also during the weekend. Another one is, do not exercise just before going to bed. Now, of course, exercising helps with sleep. But if you exercise just before going to bed, your body temperature rises. And when you're falling asleep, your body needs to cool down. Therefore, if you exercise just before going to bed, it's not a good thing. Another one is, try and not eat or drink too much before going to bed. Because if you do, your body is trying to process all that food, which kind of prevents you from falling asleep. Another one is, do not look at your phone before going to bed. If you keep looking at your phone just before going to bed, there's that blue light that actually messes up with your mind. Therefore, if you look at your phone for too long or just before going to bed, then you're going to struggle falling asleep. So try and not use your phone for at least an hour before going to bed. Another one is, try and get some sun exposure. So it turns out somebody did some research where they found that if you expose your skin to the sun for half an hour a day, you're going to have more energy throughout the day, and therefore when it comes to bedtime, you're going to be able to fall asleep more easily. Another one is, when you wake up, try and actually get out of bed. Don't stay in bed laying just after you wake up, because it just messes up with your circadian rhythm. So just as soon as you wake up, just get out of bed. Another tip is, it's okay to get a nap. You can get a nap, let's say midday, but try not to get a nap after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because if you do, it's going to mess up your circadian rhythm and you're going to find it more difficult falling asleep. So this kind of helps you get good quality sleep and it helps you fall asleep. But once you do, try and sleep for 7.5 hours. I know you may have heard from other people kind of saying that they sleep 4 hours a day, but it turns out that's not very good for you. There's been some research done which proves that the people who don't sleep enough are more prone to getting Alzheimer's and dementia. So try and get your sleep, definitely. So getting good sleep definitely helps me focus the next day, and I hope you found these tips useful. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you found that sleep is very important for you too? I'd love you to comment down below. And of course, Don't forget to subscribe and like. Right now we're really thankful for every subscriber, and we hope to see you guys in our next video.